Hi, and welcome to the Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building podcast presented by Wolf Precision Incorporated, where we learn about and share long range shooting and custom rifle building. I am your host, Jamie Dotson, and welcome to the show. Hi, and welcome to episode 256 of Wolf Precision's Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building podcast. I am your host, Jamie Dotson, and welcome back to the show. In this episode, we're going to dive into a series called The Simple Truth. And in this one, we're going to talk about you can either learn from mistakes or learn from trial and error, or you can learn from professionals. Both are expensive. So without further ado, here we go. So before we get started, I want to say a quick thank you to TriggerTech. TriggerTech is the maker of fine rifle triggers. They offer a lot of different great makes and models, as well as some options between single stage and two stage. They are one of our favorite triggers here simply because they are one of the safest, one of the easiest to install, and easiest to adjust. So if you want to upgrade your rifle and like to do it with triggers, stop over to triggertech.com. That's triggertech.com today. We'd also like to thank MDT, maker of fine rifle chassis with a lot of different great makes and models to choose from. It is a great way to get your rifle to fit you perfectly. Having an adjustable length of pull, having an adjustable cheek piece really pays a lot in the field. So if you'd like to look at all of their fine options, you can stop over to mdttac.com. That's mdttac.com today. The simple truth. Well, this is going to be as much as, me putting my guru hat on, as well as sharing with you lots of different experiences that have cost me dearly over the years of the process of trial and error, and why this is so important if you're really going to get into learning the art of gunsmithing or learning to take care of your rifle properly, or getting into long range shooting as far as the fundamentals of marksmanship. So the simple truth is that you can learn by the school of hard knocks, which we call trial and error, or you can learn from professionals, but both are equally expensive. However, though, the cost, not monetarily wise, is one that's really underrated or not thought about when it comes to learning all these different things. So assumption is the death of a lot of different projects. Assumption is a train wreck as you start into a project or trying to figure something out. And when people think about wanting to learn the art of long-range shooting, or people think about wanting to get into gunsmithing, especially gunsmithing, or people think about getting into machining and different processes and operations, all of these things take a lot of what's considered tribal knowledge, or things that have been, learned and mastered, as well as updated and upgraded through the years, with people that have, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years of experience, or those that might not have a lot of experience overall, but are experts in a certain particular field. And so although they might have only been doing their job for 3 years, they may be in a position that they would be considered the best in the world at what they do, and on the cutting edge of their abilities and the things that they can share for you. One of the things I've learned early on, besides, just my love and interest of learning new things, is seek out professionals. Go to the people that can help you fast track or explain to you the missteps and pitfalls that they ran into while they're working on or continuing through their experience of becoming a professional. This not only saves you money, but the cost is time. And I think both are equally important to take into consideration. So, for example, I know a lot of people that have been shooting their whole lives. I know a lot of people that shoot the same today as they did when they first started 20 years ago. They're just rinsing and repeating their 1 year of experience of shooting over and over again, because they're in a closed loop and they have no way to know what they're doing right or wrong or how to change it up. You can even say that when they take the time to do some research and reading, that even still plays in the school of hard knocks, because they can't really decipher what is good information from bad information. And so they can possibly see some improvements, but they can also possibly see things get worse, right? And so I think when a lot of people really get into wanting to learn the art of long-range shooting, for example, going and seeking somebody that knows what they're doing, that has 10 and 20 years experience of teaching thousands of people Not just teaching them from a book, but with rifles in hands and letting them leave 3 days later as a completely different shooter, as someone who can now pick up that flag and run with it. They got their feet underneath them. They know what they're doing. They're confident and they can go out and they can make it happen. Many of them going out and winning matches and placing in matches in the very first event they've ever competed in. That is a really stone throw away from someone who's been doing it for 20 years and never seeing an improvement. So they wasted, not just all the resources, all the things that they've read online that might or might not help, but the time that they have taken only to see nothing more than just maybe a marginal experience increase or a marginal increase in their abilities. And maybe because of the time factor, giving them a self confidence that is really on shaky ground, like a false self confidence that, well, I've been doing this for 20 years. Don't tell me I don't know what I'm doing. The same thing goes with gunsmithing. When you are going to start working on rifles, it's a very, very different field in the fact that the things that you don't know can hurt you, and the things that you don't know will hurt you. And all these things can and could kill you. I know a lot of people over the years that have monkeyed with firearms and have paid the price. So, for example, I'll give you one example here. In my early years, I didn't do a lot of repair work on a lot of old stuff just because A, I wasn't an expert in it. B, I didn't want to be an expert in it. And C, the amount of time it would take me to research it, get all the information that I needed to do the repair or possibly think of whether or not I want to do the repair is just mind boggling. So you got someone that wants to pay you $25 to modify or fix something that they messed up, but you've got 5 or 6 or 7 hours trying to figure out if it's something that you want to do or whether you can do, right? Well, I was smart enough to know that there are things out there that I'm not interested in, and I'm not interested in putting the time and effort in the research and going out and seeking the professionals to become experts at these fields to offer these services. So, for example, many, many, many years ago, there was a pretty big gun shop, probably about maybe 50, maybe not that far, maybe 25 miles south of us here. And they really were a fantastic place. Really liked it. I liked the business manager there. I've actually, had purchased some firearms when I was younger there. I love going in and buying some reloading components there. And so one of the customers had wanted this old rifle. They wanted the barrel drilled out so that they could put an optic on top. And I don't know the year of the rifle. It was really old. It's one of those ones that they had to tap and drill into the receiver, into the barrel to actually make a mount for it so that they could screw something to it. Don't ask me what it was. I cannot for the life of me remember. Other than it wasn't a small caliber. It was a hunting caliber for sure. Well, I wasn't doing it. I wasn't interested in doing it, but I do know that shop took that job on. And when the owner of that rifle pulled the trigger, the pressure from the chamber released, went up through, blew the scope ring off, and blew a hole in the bottom of the scope, basically blowing out the glass in both directions. That shop was closed very shortly after. So the assumption was, well, I can just drill and tap this. The bad part was they actually drilled too deep and got into the chamber. And I mean, that can happen. That can happen. So when you look at stuff like this and you look at what people are doing and you wonder, what is the risk? One of the reasons seeking out professionals is that, had someone pulled that gentleman outside and said, hey, don't drill with that big of a drill, you're going to cut a big old hole through into the chamber and you're actually going to cut sharp edges and burrs in there, which means when that round goes off, you have the potential of that cartridge failing where he had drilled it at. And, the issue was that it was all that, hey, I can do this. I can figure it out on the fly. I think there are a lot of people out there that know that this is very much true for a lot of different things that you're going to do, whether it's gunsmithing or whether it's flying an airplane, whether it's working on your own airplane, whether it's working on your own boat. There are risks involved in making mistakes, and sometimes these can be very, very much life-threatening. When we talk about doing the gunsmithing school, one of the things that I think that we're going to try to really focus on is giving the tools necessary to the consumer to be a gunsmith using our components, teaching them both the pros and cons, the right way to do it, teaching them the directions and the procedures, going through the correct operations and specs and how we tighten. And in which case, we believe that it's going to put an incredible set of tools in your toolbox to allow you not just to build a world-class rifle, but to maintain it and in the future change it, make something else out of it. How cool would that be to, I'm sort of burned out on the 223. Let's go ahead and swap this up, make it a 22 Creedmoor. Well, you change out the chamber, same barrel, mind you. You change out the bolt head. Now you got a 22 Creed. And the fact that you were able to do it in the convenience and comfort of your own home with very simple tools, but under professional guidance. So when we start getting into the gunsmithing schools that we are starting to film right now, the online version is there for those that wouldn't mind learning it from a remote location, right? Or someone who can't travel to central Pennsylvania to take a 2 or 3 or 4 day class or spend time in the armory assembling a rifle. But to couple with that is the opportunity for the choice to come in and learn under our guidance and ask questions and walk through the processes and procedures hand in hand with the customer more than once. And that way, when they leave here, they have a little bit of they have the experience under the guidance of somebody looking over their shoulder, confirming to them, as well as pointing out things to not forget when they're going through the operations and procedures. Just like that gentleman drilling out that barrel, if somebody would have been looking over his shoulder and said, hey, that is a very thin contour, that is a very, very big drill and tap, I'm not sure what you're thinking, that could have saved somebody, right? So when you're getting into this type of work, one of the things that cause a lot of issues for new shooters, besides the fundamentals part. So when I look at the online classes and in-person classes, the shooting part goes right hand in hand with the gun building part. You have to be able to use the tools. In other words, if you're going to be a great guitar builder, you better know what great sound sounds like. You better know what the feel of the neck is and how it plays and what the tone is like. Like think of Paul Reed Smith, and all the experts that he built guitars for and the feedback that he got from professionals that were running them, able to sharpen his craft. But he is also a guitar player and had been so for many, many years. So he knows what to look for, what it feels like, what it sounds like. And he can almost have like a third or fifth sense or sixth sense into, and I'm not sure what it is, but something's not quite right, right? He's at that level. Same thing goes if you're going to build rifles. How do you know if it's the build or it's the shooter? If you're really well trained in both and you not only know how to build the rifle properly, and you also know how to at least a good understanding of the fundamentals of marksmanship, it's a win-win because it's not your fundamentals cheating you on the accuracy of the rifle. And it gives you a little boost of confidence that, hey, I've got this. I can get this out of this rifle. It's really amazing to watch over time for new shooters to get their feet underneath them, not in a false sense, but laying on the ground and shooting, M&M-sized dots over and over again at 100 yards. In with a bipod and a rear bag, nothing crazy, just with their rear bag, a bipod, and some good fundamentals. Man, does that give them a good boost in their step, right? So when we started with the long-range shooting schools in person and we started doing more and more with the online long-range shooting school, it really confirmed us that we could teach this and we could actually continue on the path that now that we can teach them the fundamentals of marksmanship, now we can get into the gunsmithing. And both have to you have to be sort of a good car builder and a good car driver. And I think learning to drive first is probably a good idea if you're really going to master the art of making a fine race car, and knowing how it's supposed to perform, what good feels like, what correct feels like, right? When we get into the gunsmithing part of it, we spend hours every week answering questions on things that are not our product. We did not make it, has nothing to do with us, but someone is completely stuck. And a big one is magazines and fitting magazines and adjusting magazines and modifying magazines. What do we do to get them to feed and function perfectly? Because, in my mind, today's modern magazines that are sold all over the place, they're garbage. I don't care who says what, they're terrible. And they really went downhill. And I think a lot of that has to do with, you know, just our mindset in almost every fast food restaurant, everywhere. I mean, we are really doing a shitty job at really upping our A game here in the United States as far as providing excellent and quality service as well as excellent and quality product. It's a lot. It's like we've all allowed our guard to go down on what we consider a good job. Like, I'll give you a great example, and I'll try not to say any names here, but it's really, really ridiculous. We had a molded stock come in without saying any names of who the manufacturer was. And when we got it here, I looked at it and I was like, it's not that good. Like, even our office manager, when she opened it up here, she said, "Oh, I know who that's for." And she goes, "Is this supposed to look like that?" And I'm like, "Well, no, not really. It's maybe a B, I mean, I'm not happy with it." But I did contact the customer and I said, "Hey, we're going to finish building this rifle. We're going to send it out to you, but just take a look at everything and let me know if it's okay with you." Well, the customer got the rifle and he called me and he was like, "I don't want to be a complainer." And I'm like, "You're not being a complainer, but what do you think of the stock and the molded ink color and the job that they did?" And I was like, "Well, it's really not my opinion at this point. It's yours. What do you think?" And he goes, "I think it looks terrible." And I was like, I sort of agree. I said, "I'm not sure, if it's just, somebody left to slip through, but I figured I would let you look at it and see what you thought. It's your rifle. It's your decision. You paid for the stock. And if you're not happy with it, we'll send it back in and we'll look at plan B and we'll get it all squared away." So I did. We paid to have stock shipped back to us. And we told the customer all this was probably going to happen, but we shipped it back to the manufacturer. The manufacturer called me on the phone and this is what they said. "Well, we're going to fix it and we're going to paint it. However, though, if you don't pay for the paint job, we're going to ban you from ever purchasing a molded in chassis." And I said, "Why would you ban me from placing mold?" "Well, that's because, you're just being picky." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not being picky." And then they continued on, "Well, we all looked at it here and we don't think it's too bad. We don't think it's that bad." And I'm like, "Well, since when does that bad count as the customer happy with it?" My opinion doesn't matter. Your opinion doesn't matter. It's the customer that paid for it that matters, and the customer's not happy. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's that good either. I mean, I think it's way different than what you guys have produced 20 years ago. And this person even got a little more offended and was like, "Well, I mean, you don't understand," and blah, blah, blah. And it went on. And I'm like, "Look, I had a stock made for me as a gift from Savage Arms 20 years ago in the same exact molded in colors. It was a twin. It's actually on the cover of one of our videos. And that was a gift that was purchased and sent to me for one of our Savage rifles that I was shooting. And it was the same exact colors that this customer ordered today. And I will tell you that my stock did not look anything like the quality of the molded in colors that was in the stock that we delivered to this customer. I can tell you that for a fact because I owned that stock and that color. And they even got a little more offensive. And they're like, "Well, we don't think it's that bad." And I'm like, I don't understand, like, where you think that it's my opinion or your opinion that matters. In the end, the customer paid for this. And I'm not complaining about it. Although I don't think it's to the level of what you guys have performed to in the past. But the customer is unhappy with it. So the customer's opinion is really the only one that matters at this point, and we have to do what's right to do what's right by the customer, right? Well, yeah, but if you don't pay for it, me personally, and by the way, what they were asking for us to pay to redo the stock was way more than what we paid or what we made off of it selling. We sold this stock to the customer as a custom build, and we sold a stock for you. Here you got a sale with no effort whatsoever. We're your ambassador to the customer, and we had sold your product. You have to stand behind it. And they're like, well, then we're going to ban you from ever selling more to them because you don't understand how hard it is, and that you have to be willing to accept it if these don't look right when you get them, that's just the way it is. And I was like, wow, has America fallen? When the original owners of this company were there, that would have never been a conversation. And when the original owners of that company were there, that stock would have never made it out the door. Actually, it wouldn't have made it past the first inspection to inlet because it was that bad. And I think it's across the board in this country that we've allowed ourselves to slip into that mediocrity is the new rule. I mean, that's the new good, the new pass. I even asked the person I was speaking with on the phone, if you went out to a 5-star restaurant and ordered a meal and said that we don't think it's that bad, is that a good meal or a bad meal? So when you're looking to learn to gunsmith and you're looking to learn to build and you're looking to learn to order these parts and pieces, half of the things is being able to fix or modify the parts that you're getting in to make them correct before they wind up on the finished product, which will cause you problems. So that was just a molded stock, had nothing to do with anything else other than just the molded and killers. But if you've gone back and you've watched our last 2 YouTube videos where we're doing a bedding video, shocking. I mean, absolutely shocking how bad this was. Now, it's an odd one out for sure. It's not a normal problem that we run into with this manufacturer, but it was there nonetheless. So we had another customer that had ordered a barreled action and instantly emailed us and said, hey, do you think I ought to send this? And it's we won't say again the brand of the stock, but it's not one we deal with often, but it's pretty high end stock. It's pretty expensive. He said, do you think I ought to send it and have you bet it? And I'm like, well, you can always put it on the rifle and shoot it for a while. I said, but I don't know. I mean, betting's expensive. It's very time consuming. Everything has to go perfect for it to be perfect. I tell you what, let me think about it. And I got back to him. Finally, I said, yeah, you should probably bet it and send it to us. And, there'll be some labor involved in us bringing it in. We didn't sell the stock, so there's always risk that, it gets scratched or damaged in shipping. And there's a lot of stuff that goes with stuff that we haven't purchased directly because if something is wrong, we don't have the power to send it back. And then you get into the ABC thing of who messed it up or who made the mistake or whose fault is it because it's wrong. Well, after he watched the 2 videos, so it was over the weekend, we released the second video and sort of showed, the before and after the rifle was bedded. And by the way, you can see this on YouTube, as well as, don't forget, we are removing a lot of our videos over. We're posting a lot on True Social, and we're putting almost all of our videos back up on Rumble. So when we get banned, we'll have a backup copy somewhere. But anyway, he took his other rifle that he has from us, and he took that action and he stuck it in that stock to try to get it to wiggle or see how it locked in, and it was all over the place. He said he was absolutely stunned on how bad the inlet was and with the thing going all over the place inside of it. He actually contacted the manufacturer of the stock and sent it back and was going to reuse one of the stocks unbedded that we had sent him many years ago because it fit actually still really well in there. But the stock that he had purchased from up north of $1,600, the inlet was so bad that it was binding the action and it was rocking back and forth, from upper left corner to lower right corner, like just rocking. And so obviously it needed bedded. This is the norm now. And for me, when we get into the gunsmithing school, these are the things that matter. Everybody touts the, pre-fit barrels that, you can just buy it and bolt it all together and run to the range and you're going to have a world-class rifle. Well, if everything aligns and the gods smile on you and there's an eclipse that day, maybe. The problem is rarely are all the pieces or all the ingredients in the recipe correct. And so it doesn't take but, 1 or 2 bad ingredients to really mess up the whole rifle. I remember somebody used this as an example. If you ever seen those like giant champagne bottles, they hold something like 2 or 3 gallons. I mean, they almost look like something that just belongs on a a store's wall as an oversized wine bottle, right? But just think of like this giant champagne bottle, big, massive champagne bottle. Well, it only takes one drop of raw sewage to ruin the entire bottle, right? And the same thing goes with your custom rifle. It only takes one small thing to really ruin the entire rifle or cause you all kinds of issues. And this is the difference between the school of hard knocks or trying to figure it out or seeking professionals and knowing what to look for and at least having some good tools in your toolbox to diagnose and pinpoint the problem at least a little faster and a little more accurately without guessing. This is the prosumer gunsmithing school that we're launching online and in person. A lot of the things we talk about aren't specifically just for our custom rifles. If you own a magazine, this class is for you. And it's going to help you. If you have a stock or aftermarket chassis, even if it's not a bad action and a Wolf Precision Ace rifle in there, right? There's so many things that we're going to be posting up on there that are going to help you. And, where I say that the School of Hard Knocks and seeking out professionals, they're both very expensive purchases. The prosumer gunsmithing school is like $15 a month. We are trying to keep it to a point where the average person can afford it without blinking an eyeball and they'll have full access. Now, the reason we do that is so that we're protected. You have to be 18 years or older and you have to sign up through Patreon. You have to verify who you are. There's a lot to it to sort of protect us from either people that shouldn't be on there or people that are underaged, of course. But it's there nonetheless. And it actually includes our online long-range shooting school, which is hand in hand. If I teach you how to build a race car, it'd be really silly not to teach you a little bit on how to drive it, right? And so a lot of the stuff that we're putting on there, although it's very specific to a lot of the things that we do, there's a lot of common variables across the board, regardless of what action you use, what stock you use, what magazine you use, what barrel you use. There's just so much to it. So we want to encourage you, to make it so it's not that expensive, that it's not just, I think, inexpensive to join, but it's also going to save you what we consider the true cost, and that is the frustration you're going to have on the firing line, as well as the lost time that's going to be involved in shooting something less than par or something that has an issue or a problem that you just can't figure out. So you can learn more about the Wolfpack program, and you can stop over to wolfprecision.net. We'd love to have you and join you. The classes are actually starting to get posted up now. Of course, the online long-range shooting school is there as well. And as an added bonus for those that sign up for the Wolfpack, we've got two things going on. We've got the Founders 500, which means the first 500 people that sign up for the Wolfpack program, regardless of the tier, whether it's the beginner tier or whether it's the advanced tier. You are going to get your name permanently put on placards that are going to go outside our armory here at our facility. So your name will forever be engraved as our way of saying thank you of being one of the founding members of the Wolfpack. But you'll also get a huge discount on a lot of our parts and pieces and services. So we want to give that $15 back to you. We really don't. It's not about the $15. If you're taking the class and you like to build some stuff, we're actually going to give you 10 to 30% off anything made by Wolf Precision, as well as our labor. And so it, can save you hundreds of dollars as you're starting to get set up and getting ready to build your rifle. So, we want to be a full encompassed company that's going to give you the training. It's going to give you the training as both as a builder as well as, potentially a shooter. And then we also want to give, because you're going to be part of our team or part of our pack, you're going to be part of Wolf Precision. We're going to really extend out some really nice discounts and offerings to you as our way of saying thanks. And then, of course, you can always come in and take in-person classes and join us here at our facility for hands-on experience. So before we continue on, I do want to say a quick thank you to Krieger Barrels. Krieger is an incredible company out of Wisconsin. They are cut rifle barrels, one of our favorites. I want to share with you that we just posted up a video on YouTube, we'll see how long it lasts, on our barrel contours, explaining a little bit about the different contours that are our standards. Now, we offer a lot of different contours for different reasons, but our standard contours, including the lightweight number 3, we call it. They're all on our website. You can see them there at YouTube. If you go to Wolf Precision, you can see our latest video that we talk about barrel contours. And of course, we'll put it over on Rumble. But Krieger's always been our go-to barrel for stainless steel and chrome moly barrels. They are cut rifle. They're family-owned and operated business. And they have never said to me that that is not too bad. Well, the rifling ain't too bad, is it? We didn't think it was that bad. Yeah, they don't do that. So they really deliver just the best quality rifles over and over again. If you want to hear a little bit from John Krieger, you can go back a couple episodes and seek out our interview with John, and just to hear his mentality of the company and how they approach business. I mean, they want to be the best barrel makers in the world, and that's the people we like to do business with. So if you want to upgrade your rifle, if you're looking to build a custom rifle, you can stop over and look at all the selections they have in both their Krieger Direct, where you can purchase barrels that are in inventory. They have a sales page that they often keep barrels on as well. And of course, you can order a barrel from them as well. So you can learn more about Krieger barrels at KriegerBarrels.com. That's KriegerBarrels.com today. Well, thank you everybody for taking the time to join us. I really appreciate it. If you're enjoying the podcast and you'd like to, we really appreciate it if you give us a 5-star review. Also, if you enjoyed the podcast and you'd like to share it, that means a lot to us here. We really are trying to work hard on the podcast series themselves. Also, if you have any questions or some suggestions for the podcast itself or things that you would like to answer, we are starting our Because You Asked series. So just submit us a question. You can email us. I'll have our email link down below. And we'll look things over. And if we do use your question on the air, we'll send you out a patch catcher or something pretty cool in the mail as our way of saying thank you. So thank you, everybody, for taking the time to join us. My name is Jamie Dotson. I'm your host, and you're listening to Wolf Precision's Long Range Shooting and Custom Rifle Building Podcast.